A drifter stumbled upon a strange-looking rock. He brushed off the dust. It felt like gold. He showed it to his companion right away. They tested it with fire. It didn't change. Excited, they grabbed tools and started digging. But no matter how deep, the rock had no end. His partner suggested they try to move it, but the giant stone wouldn't budge at all. They tied a rope, hooked it to the truck. The rope snapped instantly, useless against the weight. Out of options, they kept digging into the night. To prevent the wolves from approaching, they collected firewood and lit a bonfire. The men shouted in excitement at their discovery. If it was gold, they'd be rich overnight. But how could they even move such a treasure? They planned for one to fetch an excavator. The trip would take at least 5 days. The other had to survive alone in the desert. Both wanted the job, neither willing to yield. His partner claimed he had survival skills and was better suited to desert survival than the homeless man. The drifter insisted on staying behind himself. Finally, his partner gave in reluctantly. He left food and their only satellite phone. Then he drove to find an excavator. Under the scorching desert sun, the drifter buried the gold. He pitched a tent, gathered firewood, and prepared to wait. 5 long days of lonely survival began. The scorching heat seared the homeless man's body. But could he endure until help returned? And more importantly, could they really claim the gold?
A woman traveled through countless timelines, all to get rid of a chef. She arrived at the familiar restaurant, and the restaurant instantly descended into chaos. To make matters worse, a police officer entered at that moment, but the woman had already escaped through the back door. Back at her residence, a strangely shaped machine stood in the center of the room. The police's warning knocking came quickly. Without hesitation, just as the police were about to break down the door, the woman rushed into the machine. The next moment, a strange noise suddenly came from a house with an identical appearance. The woman traveled through time again, to another parallel universe. Looking at the height record on the wall, her heart sank. The next moment, Eileen reappeared at the restaurant, but was told the chef was on leave, so she went directly to his home. After a brief search, Eileen found the chef taking a shower. Then she found a box and took out her daughter's hair. She then sat opposite the restroom, waiting for the chef to come out so she could shoot him dead. But just then, a figure suddenly appeared in the doorway. Would this unexpected appearance completely disrupt her plans? This was the man's nth death. Then the woman skillfully pulled a box from under the man's bed. Carefully opening it, she found a pistol, medicine, and a hair with a number. She picked up number 12 and a sorrowful expression appeared on her face. She then went to the restaurant. The man she had just killed was standing there unharmed. At that moment, she heard 2 girls laughing softly behind her. The woman was momentarily lost in thought until a waiter snapped her out of it. Turning around, she saw the chef was about to leave. She immediately turned to leave, calling out the waiter's name with practiced ease.
Thanks, Step.
The waiter, seeing her for the first time, went outside. After getting into the car, the woman stared intently at the man until she saw him drive home. She immediately followed him to the door, then pulled out a bunch of keys from her bag and tried them one by one until she finally opened the door.
There's her body.
Who the fuck are you?
Number 12. You wanna live?
The man knew he couldn't fool her, so he immediately tried to fight back. But Eileen was already familiar with his tactics and easily escaped through the back door. But the next second, she reappeared in the restaurant. Why? What was hidden there? The woman tore open the fleshy sack. The mucus instantly covered her entire body. It was as if she had undergone a transformation that was not human. She walked to the mirror. That face, it was too perfect to be real. 3 days ago, she had only spent 1 night with a man, but her body had a violent reaction. She fainted. When she woke up again, her body had become strange. She had become beautiful. The attitudes of those around her began to change. Strangers started talking to her. Even their gazes were filled with greed. But soon, trouble came. She was harassed by strangers. For the first time, she missed her former self. She went to find her former partner, but the change was too great.
I'm sorry, do I know you?
Cooper, it's me.
Even after showing her identification, the other person couldn't believe it. She could only reveal the secret, details that only they knew, even including the man's most private matters. Only then did he let down his guard. At this moment, the 2 of them were overwhelmed with emotion, wanting to do something cruel, but the circumstances didn't allow it. Even kissing was extremely dangerous. Cooper had calculated that people infected with this toxin only had 1.5 years to live. This statement frightened Jordan. She wanted to call the police, but Cooper stopped her. But when the 2 returned after dinner, an accident still happened. It was minus 20 degrees Celsius. Yet the woman stripped off her clothes and immersed herself in the icy water with a look of enjoyment. because she knew very well that once she left the ice water, she would completely lose control. And even more terrifying, the entire city had already been infected with this virus. This virus causes rapid bloodshot eyes, emotional breakdown, and ultimately, complete madness. Someone even blew up the city hall. From the moment of infection, it only takes 3 days for the blood vessels to cover the entire eye socket, followed by death. 3 days ago, the woman had just started showing symptoms. Her boss casually said something, but it instantly triggered her emotions. The next second, she lost control and stabbed him, but soon, the extreme low temperature caused her body to convulse. Dr. Aaron immediately realized that lowering the temperature was the only way to control the disease at the moment. She sent the woman to a hospital that was conducting secret experiments. The experimental protocol was not complicated. Injecting low-temperature saline solution, forcibly lowering body temperature, and there was only one criterion for judging the success of the experiment: whether the bloodshot eyes in her eyes would subside. As the first batch of experimental subjects, they were quickly pushed into the infusion room. The entire process only lasted 2 minutes, followed by a brief period of hibernation. Time passed, minute by minute. The medical staff deactivated the freezing device, but at that moment, an accident occurred. Could she still survive? 10 degrees below zero. A woman walked towards the lake. The icy water covered her body. She didn't struggle. She even showed a hint of enjoyment, because she knew very well that once her body temperature rose, that strange infectious disease would immediately spiral out of control. Meanwhile, incidents began to occur all over the city. At the ski resort, a fatal accident occurred. The manager, Lucas, had bloodshot eyes, as if he didn't even see the disaster before him. The police quickly sealed off the scene. The initial assessment was a drug overdose.
Vi pratar med några anställda och en av dem är i ett tillstånd som kan bero på narkotika.
But Dr. Eileen noticed that Lucas's condition didn't resemble addiction. It was more like his consciousness was collapsing. His pupils began to show abnormal changes.
Vad fan är det för fel på mig?
Andas.
Vad fan är det som händer?
That night, Eileen received a call from Lucas. He was emotionally distraught and begged for help. Eileen didn't call the police, but went alone. Inside the house, it was unusually quiet. Eileen walked into the bathroom. The next second, she froze in place. Lucas was lying on the ground, his body cold, having already lost all vital signs. And at this moment, it wasn't just the virus that was out of control. The disaster had only just begun. The girl had just boarded the cable car when a fatal malfunction occurred. The operator in the control room seemed completely oblivious to the chaos unfolding before him. Rescue personnel quickly arrived. Most people survived, but some stopped breathing in the snow. Everyone thought it was just a mechanical failure, but that wasn't the case, because after the operator was apprehended, his condition was clearly abnormal. He was incoherent, constantly looking at things that weren't there. The police's first thought was illegal substances, but the test results directly refuted that guess. This wasn't a drug reaction, but rather brain failure caused by prolonged sleeplessness. But the officers didn't want to investigate further because in their view, the real danger was over, but they underestimated the situation. During transport, the man's condition continued to deteriorate. The police car was forced to make an emergency stop. In that instant, the man suddenly regained consciousness. The next second, he pushed open the door and got out of the car, rushing into the woods by the roadside. 2 police officers immediately chased after him, but in the woods, there weren't even any footprints. The man seemed to have vanished into thin air. Was this cable car accident really just an accident? When the man woke up, he found he was no longer human. It was as if something was forcibly taking over his body. However, after a painful transformation, he was reshaped into a muscular man, immune even to anesthetics strong enough to knock out a bear. And all of this began the day before. That day, he witnessed his colleague suddenly turn into a pool of blood. Even worse, a drop of splashing blood landed in his eye. The infection was complete at that moment. The virus seemed to sense that its host was under threat, and the most primitive biological instinct was instantly awakened. The man began to struggle violently. His body temperature rose wildly, even exceeding 110 degrees. The next second, 2 streams of bloody tears flowed from his eyes. In the instant, Cooper was stunned. A mass of mucus mixed with the virus was spat out by the man. Fortunately, the protective suit was airtight, but it was too late. The man suddenly exerted force and broke free from his restraints. He rushed out of the isolation area, not to escape, but for his first action after completing his evolution. In the chaos, the man rushed into the operating operating room. At this moment, the virus was completing its final shaping within him. When Cooper reached the specimen room, in the corner, there was only a human skin that had just been shed. Was this virus destroying humanity, or was it evolving humanity?
A woman who hadn't drunk a drop of water in 10 years was now gulping it down in front of a toilet. She had no other choice. When the cold water touched her face, the next second, the water instantly evaporated into white mist. When she walked out of the restroom, a police officer stopped her. The woman chose to ignore him. The officer decisively fired his gun. The bullet hit her but had no effect. The woman pushed open the restaurant door and walked out. But the woman just stood there, blood tears slowly streaming from her eyes. The next second, time rewound to 10 minutes earlier, when she saw the audience below unscrewing their water bottles. Her sanity completely shattered. She rushed off the runway, snatched a water bottle, and desperately gulped it down, as if she would die instantly without water. The scene instantly descended into chaos. But this little bit of water, couldn't save her at all. The woman rushed out of the venue, but she was blocked by reporters. She simply pushed them aside. The pain of dehydration had completely taken over her brain. She snatched a motorcycle and weaved frantically through the traffic. An accident quickly occurred. The woman was thrown off, but she barely paused, standing up as if nothing had happened. At this moment, everyone realized one thing. What she craved was no longer just water, but something that even she herself was beginning to fear. If you could have a perfect face by being infected with just one virus, but at an extremely high cost, would you do it?
But I look good!
Jack would. Because of his ugly appearance, he didn't even have the right to make eye contact with girls. His only sense of existence came from constantly giving gifts to beautiful female streamers, until he heard about a plastic surgery clinic. Everyone who went there said only one thing: you will become more beautiful and more confident. The director told him that this wasn't plastic surgery, but a brand new way to transform into beauty. Jack was completely convinced and didn't even notice that the director himself was so ugly he didn't look like a normal person. But he didn't care anymore. Anything was fine as long as he could become beautiful. The surgery was over. A few days later, Jack appeared in a bar. For the first time, a beautiful girl approached him. He was immersed in the moment.
Sorry, guy, the tab.
Nah, I already paid mine.
Well, your girlfriends didn't. They said you were taking care of it.
He rushed back to the clinic, but the doctor gave him one last option and sent him to a hotel room.
I'm Claire. Relax. You're in good hands.
The next day, when he woke up, Jack's body suddenly became hot. The next second, excruciating pain tore through his entire body. Soon, only one thing remained in the room, something resembling a silkworm cocoon. The cocoon cracked open. A brand new Jack stood up, covered in a viscous liquid, as if he had completed an evolution that didn't belong to humanity.
The woman simply draped a scarf over the snowman, but the snowman seemed to sense something. The shadows on the ground began to change. Unusual snowflakes began to fall around him. Passers-by turned around and saw a naked man standing in the snow and were immediately terrified, turning and running away. The snowman panicked. For the first time, he regained consciousness and began to run, stumbling into a clothing store, and began a frenzied shopping spree. He knew nothing of human rules, unaware that this night had already brought him trouble. The next day, Kathy went to work as usual, but saw a man standing in the street, talking to himself. She casually greeted him.
I was made of snow, and now I'm made of not snow.
And the man solemnly told her that he was made of snow. She assumed the man was a mentally unstable homeless man, but the police had already noticed something amiss. After all, nothing had happened in this small town for 10 years. Yet, just the night before, someone had smashed a window and stolen clothes. After a brief conversation, Casey learned his name.
You. Last night. Staring at me, putting my scarf on.
Casey froze. She took out her phone and pulled out the photo of the snowman she'd taken the night before and compared it. The person in the photo was exactly the same. Would she believe him? The man's trousers were locked, and his right hand was handcuffed to a belt. But he didn't seem bothered at all. He simply washed up, took off his pants, and went to sleep. This was because he was a single man. Marriage law stipulates that single people must be sent to a hotel and find a partner within 45 days. If they fail to find a match, they will be transformed into an animal. His name was Jack, 2 years ago, his brother was transformed into a dog because he failed to find a partner. He too was abandoned by his ex-wife and divorced, and came here. When registering, he chose to become a lobster.
Because lobsters live for over 100 years. Blue-blooded, like aristocrats.
Because he believed lobsters were blue-blooded aristocrats, long-lived and incredibly prolific. Upon checking in, one of his hands was handcuffed by the hotel staff. This was all to make single people feel that being in a relationship is better than being single. The hotel had a hunting activity. The prey were the single people who had fled to the forest. For every person they caught, they could stay an extra day at the hotel. The beautiful woman's record was 190 people, but David returned empty-handed every day. He still couldn't hunt his own kind. Before finding a partner, they were forbidden from all desires. If discovered, they would be punished. This man couldn't control himself, and as a result, a hotel staff member forced his hand into a scalding hot toaster. How long could Jack endure that?
The man found a mechanical head in the ruins. After connecting the instruments, he discovered that the brain was still functioning normally. He immediately took the head back to the laboratory and fitted it with a new body. When the girl woke up, she found herself